We are season 1, episode 3, here tonight with the beautiful Angela Burchardt joining me. So welcome, Angela. Thank you for coming along.
Thank you very much, Fiona Jean. It's absolutely my pleasure.
Wonderful. So tonight we're going to be talking about, you know what, I've just forgotten the heading. It's how to strengthen or balance our energy, I think, so we can feel stronger in who we are ourselves. I've had that written down in front of me. Some, along those lines. Actually, we're going to be talking about all things energy, color therapy, meditation, all sorts of things. Yeah. A little bit, obviously, if you have any questions about me, what's happening with this series, please feel free, reach out. Always looking for speakers to come along and chat with us. So please reach out if you'd like to join one of our shows. If you're watching live, please say hi, where you're coming from, and also let us know a little bit about what made you come and watch tonight. If you have any questions about energy, please feel free to pop them in the box at any time, and I can ask them or put them to Angela as we move through the session and the chat tonight. If you're watching the replay, #replay, and please again ask any questions. Please make sure to tag Angela or I in your questions, and we'll get back and answer them for you as well. So let's get started. So Angela is beautiful. I don't know how long have I known you now, Angela? A few years. Yeah, a few years now. So we're going back some time. And Angela, I guess she'll tell you a little bit more about her story, but a marriage celebrant, beautiful ceremonies, also shamanic healing, meditation, color therapy, all sorts of beautiful healing modalities that Angela is very, I'd say, fluent in, and embodies, both within herself and for her clients. So one thing I'd like to start with, Angela, is just to ask you, what do most people understand about your field of work?
Okay, when I say celebrant or marriage celebrant or funeral celebrant, they know exactly what I mean. When I say colour therapy, most people have no idea. If I say meditation, they've usually got some idea, even if they don't fully understand. So there is a variety of responses depending on what I say.
I can imagine. What are the responses sometimes that you get? I'm curious.
When I say colour therapy, they go, oh, what's that? And then they, oh, do you do clothes? Because a few years ago, there was that book that said, depending on your seasonal type, summer, autumn, winter, spring would dictate what colours you should be wearing. And I say, well, even though I could possibly help you with that, that's not actually what I do. And then I say, do you have any background with yoga, for example? Because then people may have some understanding about the chakras or the energy system in our body. And quite a lot of people will say yes, and actually quite a lot of people say no. And then I will go to explain that what happens is in our energy field, there are centers of energy which are the chakras. And chakra is a Sanskrit word which means wheel. So in our energy field, we have wheels of energy. And depending on where in our energy field they are, it will have a colour associated with it. So, for example, at the base of the spine, it's red. Then you move up a little bit up to the sacral area, it's orange. A bit further up to the solar plexus, it's yellow. Up to the heart, it's emerald green. The throat, it's blue. Then you go to the third eye or the centre of the forehead, and it's either called indigo or royal blue. And the crown chakra is violet or purple. And they're the basic 7 that a lot of people have heard about, but there are in fact a lot more, and there's colour combinations, for example. So if I was to say, or when somebody comes for a reading and they choose, for example, olive green, it means that not only has it got green in it, but it's got a little bit of yellow from the solar plexus. And then I'll be doing a reading physically, mentally, emotionally, and or spiritually. And one of the things that I might ask, if depending on what other colours or cards have been drawn in the reading, I might ask them and say, how's your breathing? Because the olive colour is around where the diaphragm is.
Ah.
Because the yellow started to move up from the solar plexus, and there's a bit of a green which comes down from the heart, and it meets around the diaphragm. So that's why I will ask the question, how's your breathing?
That's really interesting. Yeah.
Yes. And then quite often people will have magenta, and so no one's got any idea. Well, almost no one's got any idea about magenta. Magenta is actually 8th chakra, which is above your head, which is
right. Okay, up there.
And it's really to do with a charitable disposition, and it's quite often to do with the spiritual life or maybe the sleeping life.
Right.
If there's a lot of, and if they've got a lot of violet or royal blue, I might say, how's your sleeping?
So with me wearing this top tonight then, this sort of colour,
orange.
Is there a specific question you'd be asking me around that?
Well, the orange is to do with the sacral area, which is, I don't know if you remember, there's an old yogi group that used to go around that would be singing the Hare Krishnas. They'd be going in the streets, banging their tambourines and chanting. That's a very orange colour. So it's actually to do with your sexual energy, and it's to do with communication as well. It's a fabulous colour for communication. Some people who have a really strong orange in their aura are very often great entertainers. Yeah. And in the aura soma system, we call straight orange sex, drugs and rock and roll.
Okay, I'll take it.
And people who've got very strong orange are people like Mick Jagger and Tina Turner, and they're still going. And they command millions and millions of people who know who they are and love them. Or not, but mostly it's a great appreciation. But on the other hand, orange is very good for the healing of shock and trauma. So if you've experienced shock, then what happens is the subtle body gets ejected from the physical body. So if you have a car accident and you know your car's a bit smashed, but you kind of know you're okay, and you just sit there, and somebody else comes along and says, oh, are you okay? And you go, oh, yeah, I'm fine. You know, your legs are working, your arms are working, and you can speak. Oh, yeah, I'm fine. And that person can see immediately that you're not. Yeah. And it's because in that instant, that shock, that bang, your subtle body or your soul body has actually ejected from the physical. Right. And it's only when you start to get more grounded and you come back in is you start to feel a bit more like yourself. And so that's a very fast ejection of the subtle body out of the physical body. Now, when you go to hospital and you're going to have an operation, the anaesthetist says, we're going to knock you out. So what they do is they knock your subtle body out of your physical body so that your physical body doesn't feel pain. Wow. And through the healing process, when they know that you're starting to get more feeling back, they'll give you the painkillers. Nothing wrong with that. But you go home and you keep on going with those painkillers because they make you feel good. And that's where the danger comes. Are you going to get addicted? Or do you know when to stop? And in our traffic light system, red means danger. Orange or amber means be careful, and green means go. Yeah. So when you're using that orange colour, it actually says be careful. Yes, use that space properly, but don't overdo it. And don't just speed through, because that's where you can get in trouble with addiction. So if somebody comes with an addiction, then we'll have a look at how you would use the orange. Yeah. You can't overstimulate. And understimulate then could lead to depression or something like that. So you've got to be careful with how you use the colours. Now, having said that, orange is a very friendly colour and everybody likes you. Guess what? Stimulates sexuality. Even though you might not feel sexy, that's the energy that you tap into, and people like it. Yeah. Animals like it too.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Lots of insights there. I'm sure anyone that's watching the replay will love it. Yeah. So we got Annette's laughing there, which is great. And Jai says hello. Hi, Jai. Hi, Annette. Thanks for joining us. So I should wear orange more often. And actually, Annette was wearing, I'm sure, an orange jumper today when she went out as well. So oozing that sexual energy and just, fun and playfulness. I love it.
Yeah.
So let's get into the real questions, if you like, the meaty stuff. Sure. So what's been different for you in this last year then, Andrew, I guess, both in terms of yourself and, your observations of others around, the 18 months or so, or nearly 2 years it'll be that we've been in this COVID, if you like, situation?
Well, when we had our first lockdown here in Perth last March, I was complaining to a friend of mine. I said, oh, my weddings have cancelled and I've had to transfer some because their partner couldn't come into WA. I had to sign their paperwork over to the eastern states. Tasmania got my work, Melbourne, Queensland. And I actually got one back from Queensland, earlier this year, but hey, I lost more weddings than I got coming into me, and the only ones I've had have been usually have been small, and they might be in somebody's home.
Yeah.
So when I was complaining to my friend that I was losing all these weddings, and she said, yeah, but you're still doing the colour therapy, aren't you? And I said, yes. She said, well, you should be putting that on Zoom. I go, oh God, no. Why? Online, no. And she said, well, get over yourself. I'm going to set you up so that you're going to run your courses on Zoom. Oh, okay. She was persuasive. What I found that those who had started coming to courses physically didn't want to go online. And I did get a few. In the 1st of May last year, I set up an 8-session course on Zoom. And I got people from interstate booking, some locals and things. And I did find anyone who started on Zoom did not want to come and see me physically when they were allowed to. I found that very interesting. And so now, towards the end of that first 8 sessions, people were saying, we're nearly finished. What are we going to do next? So I sat down and I wrote a list of titles that goes with colour therapy. The archangels and colour therapy, the earth chakras and colour therapy, and meditation and colour therapy, the masters. I wrote a whole list and I can't even remember them all now. Oh, days of the week, the gods and the goddesses, and colour therapy. So every single one of them wanted something different. So this is about 8, 9 people. They all wanted something different. And I'm thinking, oh, that was a mistake. I shouldn't have given them a choice. But having said that, I then said, well, if you want to come personally, I'm quite happy to do one-on-ones. Book for the 8 sessions. And that's what they all did. Yeah,
they all had their own journey.
Yeah, and so I haven't run a course for a few months with a group, but what I've been doing is having sessions one-on-one on Zoom. And we just book times to suit each other. Yeah. And that's been working really well. So I never saw any of that coming.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I work through the main chakras, and every session has a meditation with it that goes specifically with the issues that we're dealing with. And then the 8th session is a ceremony of release and empowerment of the next stage on your journey. And that's been working well.
That's beautiful. That sounds really great. So are these changes you're experiencing over the last 18 months anything like you've experienced before? Like as in, how do you see yourself? Because I guess the title of this presentation is, how can we use energy to make us stronger, and more connected to who we are, right? Who we really are.
Well, certainly bringing it back to that colour therapy, when people come and they choose the different colours, say they're having a one-on-one session with me specifically for an issue. and I will use I've got my Aurosoma colour therapy cards here.
Oh, beautiful. Well, I'd love you to pick one for me if you like as well later.
Okay, and on the other side we've got the actual tarot cards, but I'll pick one for you.
Yeah.
So I'll just go. Magenta. Isn't that interesting?
That's very interesting.
The 8th chakra, which I was talking about, which most people don't know about. And on the other side, it's a number 67. So if you're into numerology, that can mean something to you. And we've got the Knight of Pentacles.
Okay.
Isn't he handsome?
He is. And he's got, well, he's obviously in magenta as well, his armour.
Yes. And look, the pentacles there, of course, that means money. Anyway, what we've got here is, and I know I'm talking to an ex-banker. Okay, magenta, the 8th chakra. So this immediately says to me that you have a charitable disposition. Now, what can happen with this is that very often a person who's with their magenta colour will be that you're not looking for thanks and praise. You know what needs to be done and you just get on with it. And what can happen too is the people around you can take advantage because they know you'll do it. They know that you have a good heart, you have a good disposition, and they go, oh, I'm not going to worry, she'll do it.
Yes, that happens, absolutely.
So that can be
used to happen.
Frustrating.
No longer, but used to happen a lot.
Good. That's maturity, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And so the thing that can happen here is to allow yourself to receive compliments. Now, I think you're probably at an age where you've actually learned to receive compliments.
Yes, very much so.
So did you used to be good at it, or did you have to learn that?
No, I had to learn that. I've had this journey probably about, 10 or so years ago. Over the last 10 years has been my journey with this, really. Yeah. Yes.
Well, the thing that will often happen with people, and particularly when they're younger, they don't know how to receive compliments. And that comes from an old patriarchal system that says little girls should be seen and not heard. And the other thing that goes with that is we don't want your ego to get too big. Now, as a human being, I think we all need a healthy ego. And when I say healthy ego, I think you need to know who you are and how you're perceived in the world. See, so often when people have got that charitable disposition, they go, oh, look, that's okay, I can do it. And that's why people start taking advantage. When you start to have a good sense of who you are and your own personal strength, and you sense and you know when people are taking advantage, then you learn to say no. Yeah. But very often that comes along with that too is don't let your ego get too big. Well, if you haven't got an ego, you're a vegetable. So have a healthy ego and be aware of how other people perceive you, whether it's good or whether it's bad. That's got nothing to do with you. You just know. You don't have to have an opinion about it. Well, you probably do, but it's sort of second rate. Yeah. It doesn't matter really. Awesome. Now, when you have that charitable with that strong colour, if you wanted to, you could be running a charity. And because you have a certain level of maturity and understanding about how the world works, then your ability to just get things done, to designate, to know who needs help would be very good. Yeah. And the big thing, of course, and about allowing yourself to receive compliments, it makes you feel more grounded. You go, oh, that's lovely. Thank you so much. And one of the things that I say to people who really are not good at receiving compliments, and there's a lot around, is really say to that person who's giving you that compliment, with your charitable disposition, understand that allowing that person to give to you is an act of charity. Don't get too big and change the subject and run away. Oh no, it wasn't just me. Like in a work situation, If somebody comes along and says, oh, you've done a fabulous job, thank you so much, and they start getting a bit effusive and you're not good at receiving compliments, I just say to the person who's come to me for that reading, just say, well, from your charity, allow that person to give to you, because if you cut them short, you're actually rejecting their gift.
That's right. Yeah.
It's their gift of their time, their thinking, their feeling. And if you give them the time, that one of the hidden gifts in that is the deepening of the relationship. They'll talk more, you'll talk more. And if it's really to do with a good work issue and you've taken it on board, then it becomes a statement of fact what you're really good at. It goes straight into your CV.
That's right. It's so true. It's so true. I think that, you know, when you let the compliments in, you actually, it's a gift that you're giving back to the person who's giving you the compliment as well.
And they know they're heard when you can actually just stand there and listen to them. And if it starts to become a little bit uncomfortable, I say to them, just say this weird woman told me that I should be better at receiving compliments. I hear what you're saying, but would you mind telling me why you say it? And then what happens, that the other person usually gets really effusive and wants to talk more. Or if it's a lie, they'll run away because they don't want to be called on it. But usually it's the truth. And so they get more excited about telling you about why they think you're fabulous, and you get more uncomfortable. And I just say, well, just get over it.
Yeah.
Just be there with them and allow them their space to receive what they want to give you. Because I'm sure anyone with this beautiful colour is actually going to be very gracious when they are given a gift. Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So is there anything you want to say about the Knight of Pentacles?
I would say I'm not actually a tarot reader.
Oh, okay.
But the Knight of Pentacles is somebody who goes in there, charges in on a white horse and wants to save you, which is that charitable disposition.
Yeah, okay.
And the thing is that the Five of Pentacles, it's a 5-pointed star, which means that it's all the senses are engaged.
Yeah, okay, okay.
And so there's the sensitivity there, and this idealism that just charges in and is just going to sort it out. And it's a young, energetic man who's got a strong sense of duty, a strong sense of right and wrong. And really, with the 5-pointed star, is going to be one with nature. He knows what's right at a higher sense.
Okay. Hey, hi, Carmel. Thanks for joining. Carmel's joining us as well.
Hi, Carmel.
Hi. So back to the question then, Angela. So are the changes you're experiencing over the last 18 months anything like you've experienced before? Well, not before I hijacked you with a reading.
No, honestly, nothing's prepared me for the changes that have happened. I didn't see any of it coming, and I think that puts me in not an unusual category. But what I have noticed is those people who have a strong spiritual sense of who they are in the world is actually faring much better. Those people who have no idea and actually just live out fear, they're the ones suffering the most. And they get caught up in all sorts of weird stuff that's being talked about, you know, and they're not, somehow can't use their own, not just rational mind, but their sense of what's right.
Yeah.
Whether it's for themselves, their family, their community, for the world as a whole. But I think there's a lot of pain, a lot of anguish, and a lot of fear.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of scaremongering around, you know, with different things. And the media feeds into a lot of that. You know, I don't really watch much news or television myself, you know, for that very reason. I don't buy into any of that sort of hashtag bullshit. You know, I just
totally.
No, I don't. Yeah. Okay, so how do you balance energy? you know, both within yourself and those that come to see you? How does it work when we say balancing energy?
I use, for myself, yoga. I taught yoga for many, many, many years. And when I first started in Perth, there was nobody else that did yoga, well, very few. And I found this old Dutchman who was just gorgeous. And I used to catch the bus into Wellington Street, you know, before everything was built up. And I used to go there, and I just started work, and I was doing admin for an accountant's firm in Adelaide Terrace. And once a week, I would catch the bus and go to yoga. And I thought everybody there was old. Now, in retrospect, that clearly was a teenager's version of old, because I'm thinking those women might have been in their 30s and 40s. But anyway, I loved it. And so since I've been about 18, I've been doing yoga. And when I was working as an admin officer in the tertiary education sector in Melbourne, at Melbourne University, I started teaching yoga on a Saturday afternoon in the gym. And it was fabulous. Everybody used to come along, and I was teaching a very strong version then, the Iyengar style, which really is strong, and it was great for me in the 30s. Then years later, and when your body goes through its changes and menopause, all sorts of things like that, and I realised that that very strong masculine style of yoga didn't suit me anymore. And so I didn't do it for a while, but I was going through a lot of changes too. Menopause, divorce, got a payout from, by this stage I was an admin officer, at RMIT, they'd headhunted me from Melbourne University, but anyway, admin officer's job. And I took a payout, and I went to my favourite yoga teacher up on the Gold Coast called Shanti, who's still operating, love Shanti. And she got me updated, so I started doing a much more feminine style of yoga. And I went to Sydney, and I was running the City Yoga Studio in York Street while the Olympics were on in Sydney, and I loved it. So I have had some absolutely major changes in my life, but most of them have in some way haven't felt such a huge change, something that I didn't see coming. And for me, because of this is a whole world trauma, when it's been other major changes, they've been mine. They haven't necessarily been everybody else's. So there is somehow there doesn't seem to be much correlation, unless I look at it in that how you deal with the major issues in your life is your own personal test.
Yeah. Jump on, guys. If you have any questions, please ask them. You know, from Angela or I would love to know also, perhaps, how do you balance energy, or do you balance energy? Do you do yoga, meditation, journaling? What is it for you that you use? What tool or trick?
Yeah. Can I just say something about that too?
Yes.
Certainly, because I don't do so much yoga anymore. I mean, I've had a couple of car accidents and things, so the way I practice now is very different. But I use a lot of meditation. And certainly the colour therapy is from my yoga background to help you balance your energy. And if I'm feeling in a particular way, I think, oh, I need to use a certain colour. It's if I want more energy, you know, good strong red. If I want to be clear-minded, and I do wear a lot of blue, but it depends. And there's somebody else comes to me with whatever their issues are, and I say, well, you should be wearing a really hot pink. Oh, I couldn't do that. I've got to go to work and I wear a uniform. And I said, well, get some new underwear. But also me, and I'm into jewellery too, so just wear something which is going to, when you look at it, it reminds you of what it is that you want to achieve at this point in time in your life.
Yeah, okay.
And colour is really good for that.
So I guess it's connecting, you know, with you to find out what exactly it is that you're going through, what stage of life that you're in at the moment, and then what colour is best to surround yourself with to help you through that phase. Is that right?
Well, it depends on, people do come for different reasons, and they're not, it's not necessarily specifically about what phase they're going through. That's not how they will phrase it anyway.
Yeah.
But it'll be, it could very easily be an issue. Now, one of the things that is really quite an interesting one for me is that when they want to, if it's an issue, they're very often talking about somebody else, whether it's a spouse or a child or daughter-in-law or something. And I don't do readings about other people for you. I will do the reading for you and about your energy, but I don't think it's ethically appropriate to talk about somebody else and what they should be doing, which is actually quite often what that person wants to know. What should they be doing? No, that's, so it's, I might have suggestions as to how they can manage when that arises from that person. How would you deal with it? And I'll probably get them talking a little bit so I get a bit more of an insight as to what they're actually doing. Yeah. But then the colour that we'll be working with is to strengthen their energy in that area where they're vulnerable and where they're open. Because sometimes these old programs, people are not conscious of them. They're either from parental programs, you know, it could be past life stuff. And it really can come down to having a look deeper. And every time you blame somebody else, you give your power away. Yeah. Every single time. There are no exceptions. So that forces you to look deeper and to say, okay, what was that parents? And if you can't see that in your parents, although you probably can, depending on the colours that you choose, what may come through for me is something of a past life. Yeah. No, I can't guarantee that. It's what I'm given at the time when I've got that person in front of me. So, you know, when I've had people saying, oh, could you do a past life reading for me? I'm, well, I don't know. Possibly. Yeah. So I can't guarantee what's going to come through when people sit in front of me.
Yeah, that's right. Because I was going to ask you to tell me a little bit more about colour therapy, actually, and I guess you've expanded, you know, a little bit already, and really, you know, how could it affect, if you like, me in my daily living? So I suppose is it more getting some advice from you around what colours to surround myself, you know, for, like you say, for those areas of vulnerability and weakness?
It can be, absolutely. One time I had a person who came to me who had her husband had a building job. He was a builder, and she had been doing all his admin and things for a while, and she decided to open another branch of it, was interior decorating. Perfectly sensible, great. And her graphic designer, because she wanted to design a whole lot of new advertising, so her designer came to her with a whole list of swatches and colours and stuff and wanted her to choose. And she said, I'm an interior decorator. And she said, and I can't choose the colours. So she came to me to help her to design or to choose the colours that her graphic designer could use. So we had this wonderful reading, and it was really based on her personal thing and what she wanted to get out into the world. And I mean, a month or two later, she came and she showed me her new advertising based on the colours that we had worked with. It was fantastic. So she was very happy with that. So that's, I do like to keep my readings really practical. Yeah. And they mostly are, I would say. Yeah. But certainly if you don't do the inner work, then nothing's going to change.
That's true. I'm a big advocate for that. It is really an inside-out journey. You know, I think that you know, I think one of my mentors says, when you go within, you never go without. And I think it's so true. You know, when I first heard that, I really like it. Please feel free, steal it, you know, use it, because it's true. You know, I think when we start to have that journey and we look inside, we start to realize that you know, we have everything that we need. You know, we're not going to go without. We just have to learn to listen, you know, and I'm learning that nutritionally, you know, from my body, what I put into my body, what the food does to my body. It's really interesting, you know, when you take the time to stop and listen and to, like you say, to look within, really. Yeah. So is there anything else that you'd like to share, Angela, in relation to, I guess, you know, going back to the name of the session, you know, is using your energy to feel stronger in who you really are. So how does this make us connect really to more within, you know? I think that's probably what I'm asking.
Yes, I think it is really important to have a sense of the colour and what you enjoy. If you enjoy it, do it. If you like that colour, maybe you can wear it somehow. Perhaps you can paint a wall. It's really about being able to feel stronger within yourself and to get your balance. So if your favourite colours are purple and green, use the combination. Maybe it's in a painting. Maybe it's in a dress. And it really is very much about tuning into how you feel. I think that's really the nub of it. Tune into how you feel. And
so if anyone listening to this then wanted to help themselves to reconnect strong, you know, like at a deeper level, if they were to initially start with, okay, how do colours make me feel? And the colours that make me feel, like I love pink, you know, it just makes me feel warm and fuzzy. Now that can be hot pink, magenta, baby pink, all shades of pink. And for some reason I'm drawn to this rusty orange, you know, colour as well. So I like to wear those, and I never used to like green, but I've started to wear green. So I think that's maybe I'm believing that's my heart chakra opening, you know.
Absolutely, it's more to do with what's opening up, and it's really interesting when you describe your top as orange, rusty orange. Now the rusty thing, the earth one, is very grounding. So there's a lot of practicality around that. And so yes, let's have all that fabulous orange, entertaining kind of colour and energy, but I want to be grounded with it. So that's what that colour says. It's a bit similar to what I've got in my background today, actually.
It is. It's beautiful. It's lovely. I love that. It's very Aboriginal, it reminds me, you know, with the dots and everything like that, the art and everything.
Because I'm a member of Toastmasters and we do speeches and stuff like that, I did a speech on songlines, and some of our meetings are on Zoom and some of them are in person at the Wanneroo Tavern. And this was a speech that was on Zoom, and so I put that background up so that it demonstrated what I was talking about. And, you know, speaking of songlines, do you know that our major railways and roads are based on the ancient Aboriginal songlines? Because the early settlers showed people, the Aboriginal people showed them how to go to the next whatever they're looking for. So they used some of the Aboriginal paths.
It doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me, and you said it, because obviously they were here first, knew the land and the ways, you know, to get to different places. So it makes sense that that would have happened. But no, I didn't know. So thank you for sharing that nugget. That's awesome. So before we wrap up, is there anything else that you'd like to share?
Well, one of the things that I do for people who come to me to get married, for example, they get a big discount on their colour reading if they would like one.
All right, so if anyone's out there getting married, then that's always something to bear in mind. And I know that Angela will drop in the comments below this live as well in the Facebook book a little bit later, just her details, how you could connect with her. And any information, you know, that if you want to reach out, or let's say if you're watching the replay, any questions, please jump in and ask them. I'm sure Angela or I can facilitate and we can get them answered for you. So Angela, I'd just like to thank you so much for being with me tonight. I've really enjoyed chatting with you as usual. We always get some fun, and I've certainly got some nuggets of wisdom for myself.
If anyone's got any questions, put them in the chat, and I'll answer them.
I know sometimes there's a few people watch, you know, on the replay because it's, you know, work time or kids' dinner, those sorts of things in the group. So I'm sure if people watch as well, that they will, it'll go up on the YouTube channel. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
All right.
So lovely to chat with you, Fiona Jean. Thank you.
No problem. All right. Well, you take care, and no doubt I'll see you soon. All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye for
Bye.
now. Bye-bye.
Bye.